ToRaH Guardian, speaking the absolute truth. ToRaH Nation.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Yashar and Yahudah. Listen, we the people of the book broadcast. It's going down, just like it does every Shabbat. Called by Yahudah to cry loud and to spare not, to lift up my voice like a shofar in Zion, to warn the people that they must be born again of the water and of the RUACH HaKodesh. You got to get into the ark. You got to come out of the rain. Unless it's the RUACH rain. Hallelujah. Abba Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, I thank you for your RUACH HaKodesh. For you declared from my belly shall flow rivers of living water. This you spake of the RUACH HaKodesh. I give you praise for the RUACH HaKodesh. Abba Yahuwah. I pray that you will take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. I pray that I would not cause anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned away, anyone to come up lame. Abba Yahuwah, I exercise the authority that you've given me in the earth. You declare that whatever I bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, whatsoever I loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Abba, you told me you've given me the keys to the Shamayim. I praise you for the authority to operate in the arrest as Yahushua HaMashiach did by using his name. I choose to use the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, my kinsman redeemer, backed by the power of the RUACH HaKodesh. I bind principalities and powers, dominions and darknesses, spiritual rulers and wickednesses. I come against every spirit of destruction, every spirit of lust and perversion, every spirit that's unclean, that's launched itself against those that Yahuwah has chosen to be quickened, those he has chosen to be quickened and to be born again. I come against you as you affect their mind, as you come against their bodies, as you attack them in their thoughts. I command you right now to be bound over them. You cannot do it. I command you to cease in your maneuvers and activities. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I declare that by the power and authority of the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach and the word of Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua, I have authority over you. Abba, I praise you that you honor your word in the Shamayim, for you told me that you would, and I believe it. In Amunah. Abba, I pray right now that the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart will be acceptable in thy sight. Abba, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua Mashiach that every righteous word will be a lamp unto their feet, a light unto their pathway. That will give them understanding in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Hallelujah. Listen to none other than HezekiYAH. Song is entitled Freedom's Win 4.5. I don't own the rights to this music. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, it's the Shabbat. It's the Shabbat of Yahuwah. And listen, the word of Yahuwah to you is endure tribulation. Yahuwah's giving me a word to give to you, and that word has everything to do with enduring in tribulation, because this is a part of our dedicated service. We serve Yahuwah. Our bodies as temples, set apart into the work of Yahuwah, right? We serve Yahuwah with gladness. We serve Yahuwah knowing that it is Him that is in control, that has the dominion in our lives. It's because of the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, because we've been allowed to be born again of the water of the RUACH HaKodesh. We have now become his tabernacle, his dwelling place in the arrest. He has taken up residence in earthen vessels. You got to be born again of the water of RUACH HaKodesh, because if you're not, this does not apply to you. Yeah, make no mistake about it. If you're not born of the water of RUACH HaKodesh, this does not apply to you. Right? This does not apply to you. But if you've been born again of the water of RUACH HaKodesh, understand tribulation works. See, because if you ain't born of the water of RUACH HaKodesh, you are yet in your sins, and what you're getting is a result of the curse that just comes. Right? You just live in the curse. Right? Yeah, you dying in the streets because you live in the curse. You're robbed and spoiled because you're living the curse. Just because you're in this awakening and not the quickening, you live in the curse. That's why the curse can be found on every continent where we are in, right? If you're not in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, then you're under the curse. And us who have received this witness, that have been born again of the water Ruach HaKodesh, that have been delivered from the kingdom of darkness and translated into the kingdom of his dear sons, we are in a righteous kingdom. We've been made free from the curse of the ToRaH. The ToRaH was not a curse, but man, because he could not keep ToRaH, was accursed. And because this man has repented of his sins and received this atonement, this blood that comes through Hamashiach Yahusha's witness, he is now born again, and he is now free from the curse. She is now free from the curse of the ToRaH. And again, ToRaH is not a curse. Don't get it twisted. Yahusha didn't do away with ToRaH. That's diabolical. Yahusha has fulfilled ToRaH. He has completed ToRaH. He's made it possible to walk in ToRaH. Yeah, and see, these are who Yahuwah is calling as his people. These are who Yahuwah has chosen for the kingdom. Right? This is what Yahuwah has done to bring a people unto himself. This, right? This is what Yahuwah has done to bring a people to gather unto himself. You gotta be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You gotta be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. You gotta be born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh in order to see the kingdom, in order to enter into the kingdom. Listen, and when tribulation comes to you, it comes because it comes to benefit you. It comes to strengthen you. It comes to fortify you. It comes to heighten your glow. Tribulation works. Tribulation works. Tribulation works. And in tribulation, there is an understanding that it comes because you have now transferred your dominion from one wicked kingdom to another righteous kingdom. Tribulation comes because of you transferring kingdoms, right? Hasatan comes to try to pull you back under his dominion, but Yahuwah uses it to establish you in his kingdom, to prove you, to demonstrate your obedience, your willingness to serve, your dedication to his ToRaH, your dedication to his kingdom. Tribulation, right? Tribulation don't feel good. Testings don't feel good. They don't. But you know what? It ain't got nothing to do with what you feel. And you better not be tricked into becoming overwhelmed by feelings. When you're in tribulation, you got to deal with it as it is. You have to go forward established in the emunah that what Yahuwah has said concerning you in ToRaH, he will fulfill. And not only that, you have to believe what he says in order to shape the way you think, so that when Hasatan comes with an assault on the mind, trying to filtrate the emotions to pull you away from the witness, you will be able to see and you will be able to hear. You'll be able to move in the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah. Tribulation. See, you know, tribulation that comes as a result of just being called. It's not real tribulation, it's consequences. See, what you experience apart from being in this witness under the dominion and the kingdom of Hasatan is a result of sin consciousness. And it's a result of your failure to obey, comply with ToRaH. Your fathers and your forefathers failed to comply with ToRaH, so sin was passed on. Yahuwah visits the iniquities of the fathers unto the children, to the third and fourth generation of them that hate him, or them that do not keep his ToRaH. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. So if you don't keep Yahuwah's commandments, then you don't love him. You hate him. And if you hate him, you're under the curse. He had a people, Yaakov, that he had married, but they became estranged because they went out and became whores. They went out serving and worshiping other elves. They left their first love and went whoring after other elves, which led them into the lands of their captivities. And under the bondage and the chains and the shackles and the iron yokes. Right? That's not tribulation. That's consequences for sin. That's not tribulation. That's consequences for sin. Right? Though tribulation in of itself. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Let's produce a definition of tribulation. Right? Tribulation. Right. Tribulation, right? It's distress or sufferings, right? Resulting from oppression or persecution. So, in a sense, it's still tribulation, but you're in tribulation because of your wickedness. You're in tribulation because of your choice to serve other elves. Right. You're in tribulation because that's all Hasatan renders is tribulation. Because he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your life. He doesn't care about anything that you have to offer, unless it's going to bring him glory. But then it's only short-lived because you're expendable in the kingdom of Hasatan. You're expendable. Tribulation is distress or suffering as resulting from oppression or persecution. Right? We were oppressed as a people. We were persecuted as a people. Right? Right? Because of our disobedience. Right? Because of our disobedience. Excuse me. Because of our disobedience, we were oppressed. Because of our disobedience, we fell under a curse. Because of our disobedience, we were taken in ships. Because of our obedience, because of our disobedience, not our obedience, because of our disobedience, we were taken in ships. Because of our disobedience, we ended up in these lands, in these wildernesses of these people. See, our land was never a wilderness. There was no threat in our lands because you reigned as sovereign over Yashar. Right? Everything else was wilderness. Everything else, there's this potential of violence and attack, persecution. Right. But in our land, where Yahuwah set up his kingdom, right, we became a nation of people that were his. In righteousness, as we served him, we were blessed. But when we chose to go whoring after other elves, we became cursed. And therefore, in these lands, we've experienced tribulation. That's a byproduct of our sin. But when we become converted, right? Now listen to, right. The idea is that the nation would wake up, right? But the nation is going to wake up one individual at a time. This witness is going to reach one individual at a time. This word may go out, but only a few or a handful of people are going to receive this witness. Those people have transferred kingdoms. Those people have transferred dominions. And because they are going to experience a persecution at the direct hands of Satan in an attempt to get them to come back, to come under his dominion again. See, Yahuwah understands the benefit of tribulation. Right? Because tribulation is going to force you to get on your knees. Tribulation is going to force you to renew your mind, to seek Yahuwah in his word. Tribulation is going to cause you to turn your plate down, because the process is to, by these things that you do, strengthen you. The word of Yahuwah renews the mind, transforms the way you think. Tribulation. Tribulation is necessary. Make no mistake about it, tribulation is necessary. Tribulation is necessary. There's no getting around tribulation. Tribulation is necessary. Right? Tribulation has to be received. Because tribulation is necessary. Tribulation is necessary. Tribulation works. Tribulation works. Now, we're going to look at, where is it? We're going into Romans. Romans, the 12th chapter. Right? Specifically, the 12th verse. Right? In order to get a clearer understanding of how we arrive in the proper place of tribulation, right? Arriving in the proper place of tribulation in the kingdom of Yahuwah. Right? You have to begin at the first verse, right? Romans 12:1. He says, now listen, I beg you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahuwah, that ye present your bodies. Now listen, this is under your control. Right? Right? It's under your control because it is necessary in order for you to be used of Yahuwah. You have to position yourself. You have to present your bodies, right? A living sacrifice, right? Alive, Right? No. He's not talking about he's not talking about walking around because you're breathing air. He's talking about a living by the Ruach of Yahuwah. He's talking about a born-again, alive, Ruach HaKodesh, seated body. See, because with the Ruach HaKodesh on the inside of you, it's still within your control to present yourself. It is still in your control with the Ruach HaKodesh on the inside of you, because his seed now is in you after you have received the witness. The Ruach HaKodesh with power, the water and the blood. Right? It is in your ability, your strength to present your bodies a living sacrifice. Right? Kodesh. Present yourself Kodesh. Holy. Holy, set apart, because it's in your ability now to do it, because the Ruach of Yahuwah is in you by virtue of Yahuwah having given you a new heart and having cleansed you from all idols. It's in your capacity to do this now. Right? You've been born again. You've transferred kingdoms. You were once dead in your trespasses and sins. You weren't living, you were dead. You were dead. You weren't living. You were dead. You were dead in your trespasses and sins. But now, in Hamashiach Yahusha, because you have received the Besorah of truth, Ephesians 1:13, receive this word, this Besorah of truth. You were made alive. You received Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh of promise. You were given a living, live Ruach seed of you on the inside. And now you have the ability to present this as a sacrifice. Now, the sacrifice that you now are required to present, right, is yourself, unspotted. You're required to keep yourself sanctified and present yourself Kodesh. Your body, Kodesh, right? A living sacrifice acceptable. The only sacrifices that Yahuwah is accepting is those who are living. Those who by virtue of having received the witness, the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood, they are acceptable. Just because you Hebrew and you know who you are, E1B1A, and you know who your forefathers are, right? Don't make you Kodesh. Don't make you acceptable. Just because you turn to ToRaH, it don't make you Kodesh, and it don't make you acceptable. You must first come to him with a sacrifice, right? You must come to him with a worthy sacrifice. Even here, he lets you know what's the requirement before you present. You got to preside a Kodesh. You got to provide a Kodesh offering. You have to present something to Yahuwah. See, that's why Hebrew. You know, you can't skip steps. You can't skip the steps. You can't go into the Bible and read it and say, "Oh, you the people of Yahuwah. Now you're gonna keep ToRaH." You skipped a step. You can't skip a step. You got to present a sacrifice. You can't skip that step. And then, you can't do it. You got to have a priest to do it. You got to be able to present a lamb to a high priest that Yahuwah has called. Right? And that high priest has got to take the steps to sprinkle blood, right? He has to go into this place that's Kodesh, set apart, where Yahuwah will meet him and he will receive an atonement. You can't skip that step. So you can't just turn to Torah. You just can't turn back to being the people. You can't just turn and put on zeets. And all of the outward stuff. You can do it. You can parade around in it. Right? Or you can put on Power Ranger suits. You can put on these purple suits, right? You can do all of that, right? But it's not gonna make you Kodesh. It's not going to recommend you. You got to present your bodies, right, as a living sacrifice, holy, because what Yahuwah has provided as the method of becoming holy. You got to come through the witness. If not, then you'll never be an acceptable sacrifice. You'll never be acceptable unto Yahuwah. Yahusha told Nicodemus says, Yahusha said, unless he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. Then he said, unless a man be born again of the water and the RUACH and HezekiYAH, he can't even enter into the kingdom of heaven. You won't be acceptable. You ain't gonna come into the kingdom. That's why you got to understand this process, right? This is the process, right? The transformation. That which gives you the acceptable right to be in the family of Yahuwah. And when you are confronted with tribulation, it's all for the right reasons. See, our ancestors suffered at the hands of these colonizers because of their unrighteousness. Listen, even when we were on the continent of Africa, we were unrighteous. We weren't serving Yahuwah. If we were serving in Yahuwah, we would have never went into captivity. We were taken from the interior of Africa. Right? West Coast. Right? We were taken because we were out of fellowship with Yahuwah. We were estranged. They didn't take us into captivity because we was obeying Yahuwah. We ended up where we are because we disobeyed Yahuwah. We ended up in the lands of our captivity because we disobeyed Yahuwah. Listen, we in the Americas right now getting gunned down, shot, all these things, right? Because our ancestors haven't come to the conclusion that they're the people, but they need to turn and become quickened and made Kodesh through the blood of Yashar. That's why they still doing what they doing. See, but this is the deal. Yo, listen. Yahuwah is warning his people. Get ready. I'm telling y'all, get ready. This daughter of Babylon is going to be destroyed. You better be making preparations to get ready. You better be seeking Yahuwah in the RUACH HaKodesh. You better be seeking Yahuwah. You better be trusting Yahuwah. You better be believing and dependent on Yahuwah. Right? Yahuwah's got a way of escape for those who he has chosen. He ain't dragging all of these hellions out of here. If he was going to do that, he wouldn't have sent Yahushua Mashiach. He wouldn't have done that. That's why he gave you your witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Then you got you got people teaching that, you faith in Yahushua Mashiach, but Yahuwah hasn't given his Ruach HaKodesh yet. What? Yahuwah hasn't elevated his people yet. Yahuwah has elevated those who has received the Ruach HaKodesh in Emunah. They walk with power. They walk with authority. They have dominion. They establish Yahuwah's dominion in the earth. They're going to declare a ToRaH. They're going to declare a word. And those that Yahuwah has chosen to hear, it's going to hear them. Those that Yahuwah has chosen to bring forth healing to them, they're going to be healed. They're going to be delivered. Holy and acceptable. See, if you ain't in this witness, you'll never be holy. If you're not born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh, you will never be holy. You will never be Kodesh. To be Kodesh, you have to have his Ruach in you. You don't have his Ruach in you if you haven't come by the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. I'm going to continue to teach it and preach it until you tell me not to. Yeah, He said, listen, this is acceptable unto Yahuwah, and it's your reasonable service. See now, you who have been born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh, it's your reasonable service to present your body to Yahuwah in the face of tribulation, in the face of suffering. It's your reasonable service to present your body a living sacrifice, right? It's your reasonable service. It's reasonable. What Yahuwah is asking for you is reasonable. He says, and be not conformed to this world. Now. You've changed kingdoms. You now have Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh. You're now a sacrifice that is acceptable. Now you can perform a reasonable service. Now you can be that vessel that Yahuwah needs to use that's dedicated. And in this dedication process, your dedication through obedience, your dedication through suffering, that's reasonable. Enduring tribulation is reasonable. Enduring persecution is reasonable. Enduring pressure is reasonable. Don't be conformed to Hasatan's way of doing things. Right? Don't be conformed to Hasatan's way of doing things. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because you've got everything new, right? But your mind still remembers, the old kind of processes. You don't understand how you used to process things. You know, when you were faced with troubles and difficult times, you went to the bottle. You went to the weed. Right? You went to the drugs. Right? You went to the illicit sexual intercourse. Your mind, when you were dead, had a way of doing things, right? That conformed you to that system that you operated in. But see. Your identity has changed. Beloved, now we the sons and the daughters of you. Does not yet appear what we shall be. We will notice when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. We've changed dominions. We've been translated from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of his dear son. Right? With that transformation, or with that transferring of kingdoms, right? Now we have to transform what we think so that we don't move the way we used to move. You don't want to move the way you used to move. Because the way you used to move had everything to do with your deadness. You weren't alive. You weren't a reasonable sacrifice. Before the quickening, when I was in the awakening, just in the awakening alone, that didn't do anything for me. It was the witness that I've received in the Ruach HaKodesh as a young man that brought all of that together. You have he quickened, who were dead in your trespasses and sins. You are alive now. You are acceptable now. You can provide to you a service, reasonable service. He is putting you imunah. He said, listen, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. Transform. What does it mean to transform? Right? Transform.
Strong's G 3339. Metamorphao.
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 It means to change into another form. To transfigure. See, this process transforms you, transfigures you. It's because you have your seed now. You have that in you that causes you to be Kodesh. Something that he can now put into service. But you have to continue to transform your mind, because what that does is it changes you into another form. That's why no weapon formed against you prospers. Because you've been changed into his image from glory to glory. You are being changed into his image and his likeness. Right? As you renew, transform this by the word of Yahuwah, starting to look like him. You're taking on him. You are being transformed. Transformation. Being transformed. divine. It's divine. Be ye transformed by the renewing. Right? Renewing.
Strong's G 1381. Dokimadzo.
Dokimadzo. It means to test, to examine, to prove, to scrutinize, to see whether a thing is genuine or not. Renewed. Renew your mind, right? That you may be scrutinized. The word, right? To test, to examine, to prove, to see whether a thing is genuine or not. It's what you're doing, genuine or not. Excuse me. Renewed in your mind. Right? So you may demonstrate, that you may prove by virtue of how you have gone about the process of transforming your mind, presenting your body, right? So that you may demonstrate that which is good and complete and acceptable will of Yahuwah. This comes as a result of you presenting your living Ruach surrendered tabernacle to Yahuwah for dedicated service. Tribulation. Dedicated service. Now listen. He said, for I say through the grace given unto me that every man that is among you not to think more highly than he ought to think, but think soberly. Soundly. See, because, if you do verse 1, and you do verse 2, if you're not careful, you can lift it up. Right? You can get lifted up. You begin to think more of yourself than you ought to think. Right? But we're supposed to think soberly, according to as Yahuwah has dealt every man the measure of Amunah. So Yahuwah has given us Amunah in order to do and to be everything that is necessary. Right? Now let's just jump down to the 12th verse. Right? He says, rejoicing in hope. Right. We can rejoice. Why can we rejoice? Because we are established. We have the kingdom of Yahuwah on the inside of us. We have Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh on the inside of us. This is the earnest of our inheritance. This is our hope. We have salvation, right? We rejoice in knowing that we are His. I rejoice in knowing that I can come to you and present myself unto Yahuwah, right? A living sacrifice, holy and acceptable, right? Right? As a reasonable service to you, His people, who He has chosen to hear a word. I rejoice in that. I rejoice in the possibility of reaching someone whom Yahuwah has chosen to receive this word. I know it ain't for everybody. But I rejoice in the idea that there is someone that is going to hear this word and they're going to benefit from it. And they're going to rejoice over it. And they're going to grow from it. They're going to be established in it. They're going to understand that they are to present their bodies a living sacrifice. They're going to understand that this is a Kodesh thing. It's reasonable. I can do it because I am a part of him. His seed is in me. This is why I can rejoice. I can appreciate this dedication, this service. Right? I can be patient in tribulation. I can be patient in tribulation. Right? I can continue. Be constant in prayer. See, listen. Tribulation is designed to make you constant. Tribulation is designed to keep you consistent. See, because if you have a problem with consistency in you, right, then, he sends you tribulation to keep you consistent. If you have a problem with consistency in prayer and in fasting and in seeking the Most High, you have problems with consistency, then, tribulation is the next best thing. Because it's going to keep you consistent. It's going to keep you before Yahuwah on your knees in prayer, in fasting, and meditation. And listen. Some of y'all need tribulation to keep you consistent. In order to get you to grow. In order to get you to level up. It's not a bad thing. It's an ally. Satan is going to use it to try to constantly pull you away, whereas Yahuwah is giving it to you to develop you, to strengthen you, to cause you to grow, so that you can be that which is necessary for him in your dedicated service. In order to perform a dedicated service, it requires certain sacrifices. Hence the reason why you present your body a living sacrifice. See, the service of Yahuwah requires sacrifice. And in order to develop you as a servant of sacrifice, he has to put tribulation before you. You have to learn obedience through your suffering. You have to be developed in distress, in persecution, in famine. You have to understand that this process is designed to enhance, develop your amunah. You have to recognize that this witness, being born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh, is by design, and he uses this method to fortify, to strengthen, to enlarge, to cause your light to glow. Rejoicing in hope, tribulation, patient in tribulation. We were talking about it in our Shabbat lesson, and how tribulation can be seen or brought on by us not having followed through what Yahuwah has said, and by us doing exactly what Yahuwah said. Right? Two examples. One is Ayub. Ayub didn't do anything wrong. Right? If there would be anything that he did, it was like the scripture says, he said, the thing that I fear the most has come upon me. Right? So that concept or that idea of fear could have possibly factored in, but as far as Yahuwah's concerned, he was a perfect and upright man. He feared Yahuwah, eschewed evil, and clinged to that which was good. That's what Ayub did. Yahuwah told Hasatan that, you know, it was Hasatan. What is it? He told Hasatan, he says in that third verse, and Yahuwah said unto Hasatan, hast thou considered my servant Ayub, that there is no man like unto him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, a perfect and upright man, a perfect and upright man, one who fears Yahuwah. He fears Yahuwah, and he eschews evil. He goes in the opposite direction. He flees from evil. He wants nothing to do with evil, right? And he still holds fast his integrity, because this is the second time that Hasatan appeared before Yahuwah, and Yahuwah was recommending Ayub to Hasatan. Right? He says he eschews evil, and still he holdeth his fastest integrity. Still he's standing on his amunah. He's still not staggering or swayed at his situation and ready to curse Yahuwah or blame Yahuwah, right? He says, thou hast moved me against him to destroy him without a cause. Yahuwah, Hasatan literally moved Yahuwah, to move against him, right? Without a cause. Tribulation. Ayub didn't do anything, but tribulation came. Then got Shaul. Shaul wanted to go to Jerusalem. Just got to go. First, God told him, said, listen, don't go to Jerusalem. Most High saying that by the RUACH, don't go to Jerusalem. Paul didn't even listen, went. Got over there with, I think it was Philip and his two daughters. They began to prophesy to him. Don't go to Jerusalem. And then here come Agabus from Jerusalem, the prophet. Bound Paul's hands, bound his feet, told him, the man who has his feet, he bound, is going to be bound like this when he gets to Jerusalem. 3 witnesses. And all Paul, Shaul had to say about it was, why you break my heart? Break your heart. Why you ain't listening to Yahuwah? Well, needless to say, Paul ended up in Jerusalem with the beat down. And they put him in jail to protect him. He was in jail for a couple of years. All because he didn't listen. That was a tribulation. Self-inflicted. But it was a tribulation. Right? He brought it on himself. No doubt Yahuwah still would have had his plan done. Actually, Yahuwah knew what Shaul was going to do anyway, because Yahuwah already knows what's going to happen before it happens. But he always warns you. Shaul wasn't listening. He wasn't hearing it. They both had to go through tribulation. They both had to endure it. At the end, both of them came out on top. Excuse me. Both of them got the victory. Tribulation works. Tribulation works. And in tribulation, we can count on Yahuwah. Yahuwah still being merciful. The process is the same, whether it's self-inflicted or whether it's just because Yahuwah allows it to come. the process is still the same, to be still the same in you presenting your body a living sacrifice. It's still the same, renewing your mind, transforming the way you think. It's still the same, being fervent and constant in prayer. It's still the same. The outcome is still the will of Yahuwah. Second Corinthians, the first chapter. Shaul, an apostle of Yahushua Mashiach by the will of Yahuwah, and to Timothy, is our brother, unto the church of Yahuwah which is at Corinth, and all the saints which are at Achi. Grace be to you and peace from Yahuwah, our Abba, and Yahushua HaMashiach, ADONI. Blessed be the Abba of our ADONI, Yahushua HaMashiach, the Abba of mercy, the Yahuwah of all comfort. Right? He says, who comforts us in all our tribulations. It does not matter how the tribulation comes in the witness. Yahuwah comforts. That's the job of the Ruach HaKodesh in you. He is the comforter. You have to maintain your assignment. You have to continue in your job. Transforming the mind. Praying instant. Constant. Right? You have to turn your plate down. You have to fast. And the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah will comfort. That's his job. It's one of his jobs. One of the jobs of the Ruach HaKodesh, Yahushua says it in John. John 14 and 16. And I will pray Abba, and he will send you another comforter. He will send you the Ruach HaKodesh, right? That he may abide with you forever. The Ruach HaKodesh of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it sees him not, neither knows him, but ye know him, and he dwells with you in Yahushua Mashiach, because Yahushua Mashiach was the Son of Yahuwah, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh without measure. You witness his power, you witness his demonstration, right? And he shall be in you, but he is going to be in you. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. That's the Ruach HaKodesh job, to provide you comfort in tribulation. Because tribulation is going to come. Tribulation is going to come. It's inevitable. Right? It's inevitable. But the fact is that Yahuwah is a comforter. 2 Corinthians 1 and 3. Blessed be Yahuwah, the Abba of Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, the Abba of mercy, and Yahuwah of all comfort, who comforts us in all our tribulations. as you read the word of Yahuwah, you transform the way you think. The way you think with the Ruach HaKodesh, when it lines up to him, brings you comfort. He comforts us in all our tribulations. Not just some of them, all of them. When you're confronted with tribulation and you receive that with rejoicing, and you go through with impatience, when you're constant in prayer, there is comfort in his Ruach. That we may be able to comfort them which are in trouble. What is it? Abar sings a song. He says in one of his verses that, you got that glow now, One song he says, you've been through that rain. Right? You've been through that tribulation. Now you can help somebody else out. You've been through tribulation. You understand that there's something that comes as a result of having endured. Who comforts us in all our tribulations, that we may be able to comfort them that are in trouble. By the comfort wherein we ourselves are comforted. We can comfort somebody in the Ruach HaKodesh because we gained the victory. We know what this looks like. We understand what is being experienced, right? We understand what we're experiencing. We've gotten the victory. We're in service. We're presenting to you a living sacrifice. We're showing you by our demonstration, in our word, our testimony, right? We're showing you in our lives what victory looks like so that we can help you in trouble. My Achi, right? Achi. I think I mentioned it to you once before, and I mentioned it again. He said, after he went into the water, he went back home, he said, all hell broke loose. And he still at times go through heavy tribulation at the house. Right? And Eleazar, he went into the water this year. Yeah, same thing. But you can be comforted in an elder. You can get comfort in one who has experience. You can get comfort in Eleazar. Can get comfort in Yaakov. He can get comfort in Ezra, because they all have the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah. Some of them experienced identical things or in the midst of similar tribulations. But at the end of the day, it's about helping and comforting others. Tribulation. It works. Don't work just for you. It works for other people. Who comforts us in all our tribulations, that we may be able to comfort them which are in tribulation. See, you don't bring you out and bring you through. Just for you to sit back and watch everybody go through tribulation. Say, man, good luck with that. Daddy loving your brother. That ain't demonstrating Yahuah's love and mercies. That we may be able to comfort them which are in trouble. By the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted. See, now we're comforted in the word, in prayer, right? In the Ruach HaKodesh. Same thing for you. You in it now. I've been through it. I can provide you the same comfort. I can give you the same skill set. I can tell you what I did in order to get through. I can tell you what I did to overcome. I can comfort you. He said, listen. For as the sufferings of Hamashiach abounds in us, because you know, these tribulations, these things that we go through are because we transferred kingdoms. We're in the kingdom of his dear son now. Right? In the kingdom of his dear son, there's an assault that Hasatan has launched. He has his demons in full strength mode, warring against you. For as the sufferings of Hamashiach abound in us. Listen, man. When we receive the witness of Yahushua Mashiach, we receive that which comes with it. Excuse me. Yes, there's power. Yes, there's authority in the name. But yes, there's sufferings. And some of us are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of our testimonies. And because we love not our lives unto death, some of us are going to die for this witness. The absence of physical life. Because so our consolation also abounds in Hamashiach. See, because we can take comfort that if Yahusha overcame, he was raised from the dead. He is the newness of life. And we can too. Hasatan told Yahuwah. He said, listen, skin for skin. You take his life, he'll curse you. Skin for skin. Who is to listen? You can touch his body, can't take his life. Okay. You maintained his integrity. Ayob. He maintained his integrity. He wasn't giving in. He said, listen, Yahuwah sends good and Yahuwah sends evil. Okay, here it is. He says here, in Ayob, went Hasatan after he left Yahuwah from the presence of Yahuwah and smote Ayob with boils on the soles of his feet to the crowns of his head. And he took a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat amongst the ashes. So, Ayub sitting in the ashes, got boils on his skin, and he's scratching them. And his wife said unto him, dost thou retain your integrity? Huh? Curse Elu and die. Right? But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What shall I receive? Good at the hands of Yahuwah? And shall I not receive evil? And all that he did not sin with his lips. Well, Job says, listen, you want me to blame you? Yahuwah's the author of good and evil. And if I'm in this right now, it's Yahuwah's will. I'm not going to curse him. You know why you let my mama die? You let my mama die. I don't love her, but I don't love you. You let my mama die. Okay, you let my wife die. You let my kids die. There's no God. I said, naked I came into the earth. Came out of my mom's womb naked. I'm going to leave naked. He who gave, he who takes away. I tell you, man. Tribulation works. See, tribulation is going to demonstrate your stick-to-itness. There's such a word. Tribulation is going to determine how strong is your obedience. How willing are you to suffer and endure? How willing are you? Listen, right? Not this past Christmas, but the one before that season. Right? I came down out of the blue with shingles. Now, I don't wish shingles on my worst enemy. I don't. I got shingles right here and near my eye. Right? So close to my head, it was just painful. Affected the way I thought, what I could eat, could just mess with me. And then, I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me, you got to get that checked out, because when it's that close to the eye, you could lose your eye. I said, well, I know that ain't going to happen. Because Yahuwah don't bring me through a test like this. And go have me leave not a better person than I was. Not a better situation than I was. I knew it. But I went to the eye doctor anyway. Eye doctor said, no, there's no problem. There's nothing here. You're good. You should be fine. You did the test. You checked the inside of the eye. He said, no, you're fine. I knew that. It didn't change the pain. It didn't change it. Then he gave me his antibiotic. Right? Got to the point, I was asleep. I think I ain't slept at night 3 days. Because I couldn't rest. It was just too pain. Right? No matter what I took, it's just the pain. And at the time, the Sakoti said to me, Elder? She said, you need to take authority over this. Because, I was enduring it. It was hard. She said, but, you got power. You got to take authority over this. And I did, man. I went in like nobody's business. I started binding up Hasatan, coming against sickness, coming against just war going in. I laid down that night, went to sleep like a baby. That was the turning point. Because I had to understand where I was in tribulation. I had to understand who I was in tribulation. I had to understand that Yahuwah was giving me a authority. And then I had to understand that he was going to bring me out of this. Because, he told me. He actually told me, he said, don't worry about it. I'm going to bring you out of this. Right? Listen, this pain, it's nerve pain. I wouldn't have wished this on my enemy. I know what it takes to get through it. See, I can comfort somebody. I can comfort somebody. I can understand the need to understand what's required to. I can provide them the process. He says, and whether we be afflicted for your consolation or your Yeshua, which is the effectual in the enduring of the same sufferings which we also suffered, or whether we be comforted for your consolation in Yeshua. See, this is when you realize that tribulation is not just for you. Tribulation is not just for you. It's to develop you, to strengthen you, and to equip you to be able to overcome and to be that which is a service. It's a service. It's a recognizable service to someone else. You can now demonstrate to them what victory looks like. You can now demonstrate to them what it means to overcome. Tribulation. It's not just for yourself. The victory is not just for yourself. It's for somebody else. If I got to suffer this way just so that I can help somebody that's coming this way with this, then that's what it's all about. And our hope of you is steadfast, knowing that as ye are partakers of the suffering, so shall be of the consolation. So you who share in this suffering, you also going to share in the consolation, the benefit. He says, for we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of our troubles, which came to us in Asia, that we were pressed out of measure above straight, insomuch that we despaired even of life. Right? But we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in Yahuwah, who raised the dead. See, listen, at the end of the day, man, y'all woman, yeah, tribulation may lead to your death. That's why these present sufferings are not worthy to be compared to that which we would receive when we enter in to this kingdom that Yahuwah is bringing from the Shamayim. What's going to separate us from the love of Yahuwah? Right? What's going to separate us from the love of Yahuwah? Right? Stress. What's going to separate us from the comfort that we have in the Ruach HaKodesh, the comfort that we receive for transforming our mind, the comfort that we receive from prayer, being constant. I'm telling you, man, this is only a remnant. This is only a remnant. This is why you in the lands of your captivity right now. You in the wilderness, and then when we flee Babylon, we still go into a wilderness until Yahuwah gathers us from there. We gotta leave Babylon. We gotta leave the daughter of Babylon. You gotta leave the daughter of Babylon. Babylon's fallen. He said, but we have the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in Yahuwah, which raised the dead, who delivers us from so great a death. Who delivered us from so great a death. Right? Yahuwah delivered us through Yahushua HaMashiach, who through fear of death were all our lifetime subject to the bondage of death. But he also delivered us from eternal death, eternal separation. He delivered us from a place and time that would have had us locked in torment. So what? We pass from life in this arrest. In him also we trusted, that who delivered us from so great a death, and doeth deliver, in whom we trust that we yet deliver us, whom we trust that he will yet deliver us. He will yet deliver. Ye also helping together by prayer for us, that for the gift bestowed upon us, that by the means of many persons, thanksgiving may be given on our behalf. See, because we in trouble. Our lives are on the line. Romans 8:33. Who shall lay a charge to Yahuwah's elect? It is Yahuwah that is justified. Yahuwah has justified us through faith in the witness of Yahushua Mashiach. Can't nobody stand accusing us, right? For who is he that condemns? Hamashiach that died, yea, rather is risen. And he's risen in us. Who even is at the right hand of Yahuwah and making intercession for us. Why? Because we've received the witness. We've been born again of the water and of the Ruach HaKodesh. Yahuwah has cleansed us from idols, the filthiness of idols. He's taken out the old stony heart and he's given us a new heart of flesh. And he's put his Ruach HaKodesh in us. Right? Because Christ is alive in us. He said, now listen. Who shall separate us from this witness? Right? Tribulation? Distress? Persecution? Famine? Nakedness? Peril? Sword? Right? He says, as is written, for thy name's sake, we're killed all the day long. Only people that are killed all the day long are those that have been born again of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh. He ain't talking about the people that are of the nation that are are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth that aren't born again. He ain't talking about them. They are experiencing a direct consequence of their being under the curse. That's what he's talking about. For it is written, for thy name's sake. Right? We are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Who? Those who've been born again, the water and Ruach HaKodesh. Shaul's talking about us who carry the witness, the Besorah, the ToRaH of truth. Right? We go through tribulation because we're affecting the kingdom of Hasatan. We're establishing the kingdom of Yahudah. We're raising up sons and daughters. We're strengthening this witness. We're fortifying his people. We're comforting them together as we've been comforted. For it is written, for thy name's sake, we are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. But no, in all these things, we're more than victorious. Right? Through Yahudah and Yahusha's love for us. See, I am persuaded. Yahudah, right? That death nor life, whether I'm dead or whether I'm alive, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come. Right? No height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall separate me from the witness. Will separate me from the love of Yahudah. That will separate me from the witness that is in Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm persuaded that there's nothing. Tribulation comes, but it's necessary. It establishes me as his. It recognizes me as sons and daughters. Tribulation is reserved for us in order for us to learn obedience and to grow and to be strengthened and to be fortified so that we can strengthen and fortify others. You have to be persuaded. You have to be so convinced in your amunah that skin for skin, you ain't gonna curse you. When confronted by demons or angels, governments, things to come, because you know there's some things that's gonna come. Giants. things to come. Height, depth, nor any other creature, right, shall be able to separate me from the love of Yahuwah. Creature. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, understand this. Tribulation works. Tribulation works. Tribulation is necessary. Tribulation is necessary. Tribulation is necessary. Man of Yah, woman of Yah. That's it. We people, the book broadcast is gone down. You gotta be born again in water and RUACH HaKodesh. Count on tribulation. Because in order to do it to the end, you're going to have to go through tribulation. You have to come out on the end with a victory. Victory upon victory upon victory. And again, it's not just for you. It's that you may be comforted to your brother and your sister. That you be able to give them something. You can provide them a system of operation. You can provide them an understanding of process. Abba Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua, I give you praise for your word, your Torah, your Torah of truth. Abba, I pray that your word will go out to those that you have chosen, and that it would not cause any one of them to go astray, but that they would receive your word in Amunah, and that they would be strengthened and established. Abba, I do this for you. I do this for your people. I don't do this for no price or reward. I don't do this for likes. I do this to please you. And Abba, if I'm pleasing you, I'm happy. So Abba, in the name of Yahushua, I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart would be acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. Hallelujah. It's over now, man of Yah, woman of Yah. Make no mistake about it. It's over. The whore is going down. Babylon is falling. It's time to exit stage left. Listen, get your house in order. Get yourself prepared to move. Don't give yourself anything that's going to hold you back here. Let it go. Objective is prepare to leave. Get up out of Babylon. Hallelujah. With that, I say, listen, I love you. May Yahuwah's grace, mercy rest upon you. With that, I say, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, and be blessed.
ToRaH Garden, speaking the absolute truth. ToRaH Nation.